The Darlie Roudier case has sparked controversy for decades.
Well, this video, it's uncovering the truth of Darlie Routier case, Emerald Justice Project. Got 78 subscribers. I'm doing this under Title 17, Fair Use for Commentary. I've been arguing back and forth civilly with this person that put this out that doesn't give us a voice. I always put my voice and my name on my Darlie Routier videos because I stand firm in what I believe, and I don't need to hide behind a fake name or anything like that. So I've been arguing back and forth with this person, and they asked me, welcome and thank you for your comment. Do you have any proof to support that? Blah blah blah. And I answered it. All right. And I also put, somebody said, I'd love to hear more about your case, the case. And I posted, come check my channel out. I posted a couple more comments in there about how they got some things wrong, and they're deleted. But this is the thing that gets me. Welcome and thank you for your comment. Do you have any proof to support that? I was saying that there was no 2 hours of grieving before the silly string. It's been established that she had a 2-hour memorial, which is true. There's a 2-hour memorial, but in another video, Danelle on 2020 says that they had a 45-minute ceremony. If you guys didn't catch that, on 2020, Danelle said they had a 45-minute ceremony. And it says she had a 2-hour silly string. There's video evidence of this. Can you provide any further insight? And I wrote it all out. And so I'm going to do it again and watch what happens. I'm just going to go ahead and type. You're typing too fast. Go back and fix this. I typed too fast. I messed stuff up. The, the pubic? Okay. Okay, so I'll fix this. Let me fix it. I'm really bad for typing too fast and messing stuff up. So then I'm gonna post it. All right, watch, because I typed this whole thing and a couple more things in here. What we have is a dirty deleter on this channel here. But I'm gonna post this, and then they want to make it look like that. Well, I asked the non-supporter what they meant by that, and they never answered me. That's what they want to make it look like. Supporters of the case are well known for deleting stuff. I also mentioned there was a poster. They said, go see Behind Criminal Minds. And I said, I have seen Behind Criminal Minds, and I'll raise you a Southern Fried True Crime. I'll raise you a Prosecutor's Podcast, and I'll raise you a Matt Orchard Crime and Society Guilty of Sin. I put those on there, and they got deleted. But listen to the rest of this.
Raising questions about justice and fairness, key findings suggest troubling inconsistencies in the investigation. Blood splatter patterns and a slit in the window screen point to the possibility of an intruder, challenging the prosecution's claim of no forced entry.
I don't understand why people don't want to use their real voice to get it across to us that Darlie's innocent. I'm going to have to use a fake voice.
Unidentified fingerprints and mishandled fiber evidence further weaken the case against Darlie.
I typed in that this one got deleted too. I typed in there was no mishandled fiber evidence. And then I typed in that Charles Lynch studied the fibers, and I said, and there was also a part of the rubber seal from the screen that was involved in that too. I said Charles Lynch, he even said he felt like it needed further testing. I said, but as far as the fingerprint brushes, no. Charles Lynch looked at those before the fingerprint brushes were on there, and they determined that the fingerprint brush was much thicker than the screen fiber. That got deleted as well,
suggesting alternative explanations that were never fully explored. The prosecution also relied on the infamous silly string video.
They didn't rely on the silly string video. They just showed it. They didn't rely on it.
Using it to paint Darlie as unfeeling and guilty.
They used it to paint Darlie as smiling and laughing and having a good time and experiencing joy just 8 days after her children's murders. They used it to show exactly what it was. That silly string tape alone does not make her guilty. It doesn't. But with the other evidence, it does.
However, psychologists argue that grief manifests differently in everyone, and witnesses testified she had spent hours grieving before the video was taken.
I don't know about this testimony, about her spending hours before grieving. I have to go back and look, but I don't think anybody did that. Now, this is what really gets me. New testimony from an inmate to have overheard a confession implicates another individual. So if an inmate goes to the prosecution and says, well, I overheard so-and-so telling somebody they did this crime, that's hearsay. That's hearsay, and it can't be used in court.
Testimony from an inmate claiming to have overheard a confession implicates another individual, aligning with evidence of another intruder. Advances in DNA technology have uncovered details unavailable during the 1990s.
Absolute lie, we know it. All the DNA evidence so far has pointed right back at Darlie.
90s trial, adding more questions about the original investigation. Behavioral experts argue that Darlie's actions do not conclusively prove guilt.
Darlie's behavior and her actions after the murders, it doesn't prove that she's guilty, but it sure doesn't look good for her. It proves that, damn, how can she act like that? Even Joe Munoz and his news crew were flabbergasted by what they saw. He had to contain himself after the silly string to do that interview with her. And that's according to good old Barb Davis.
insurance policy raises new suspicions about motive.
Yet this aspect was largely ignored during the trial.
What do you mean it was ignored during the trial? Doug Mulder and Douglas Parks both wanted to implicate Darren as the perpetrator of this crime, and the family said no. When they found out that Doug Parks thought that Darren had something to do with the crime, a hired hit, or sending people over there some way or other, they got rid of him, and they put Doug Mulder in. And Doug Mulder felt the same way. Let me implicate Darren, and we'll raise enough reasonable doubt to get an acquittal. And this person is saying, yet this aspect was largely ignored at trial. I'll tell you, it was ignored by the defense. And I do think that if they would have brought some of the, if they would have implicated Darren in the crime, legally the strategy would have been very good, because it would have been enough to exonerate Darlie and get an acquittal, but not enough to convict Darren. The family should have let Doug Mulder and Doug Parks implicate Darren. They should have. Doesn't make Darlie innocent, though. But legally, the strategy would be that they both probably would have got off.
Additionally,
the rushed 9-week preparation by Darlie's defense team likely hindered their ability.
The rushed 9-week preparation by Darlie's defense team likely hindered their ability, right? Well, that's on the defense. We know that Doug Mulder took it over in October of '96, but he had already scheduled a 3-week trip to Hawaii that he wasn't about to not go to. It's a lot of money to schedule a trip. So a defendant does have a right to a speedy trial, and they have a right to it if they want a speedy trial. But they also have a right to be sure that their defense is properly educated on the case. They could have filed motions to continue based on the quickness of the trial, but they didn't. They didn't do that.
To challenge the prosecution's narrative effectively, with 190 death row exonerations since 1973.
Let's see. Let's check that. $200 people. Okay, so that's good. It's gone up. It used to be 174 last time I checked it. Okay, I was just doing some fact checking there.
3. This case highlights systemic flaws in the justice system.
There's no doubt that our justice system is flawed. No doubt. We believe that. Just not in Darlie's case. This says, could Darren Routier have hired someone to commit the crimes? Look, they've been trying to implicate him ever since right before the last offense. If anything was to show Darlie innocent, it would only go to show that Darren did it, in my opinion. Either Darren did it or he sent some people there. It's a long shot. I do not believe that Darren killed those babies. But it wouldn't surprise me if he sent somebody there. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Darren Routier have hired someone to commit these crimes. These findings demand deeper investigation.
Because if Darren was able to, if Darren was enlightened by insurance scams, which he did with his first Jaguar, had it stolen, collected money, then he put feelers out, he says, to have the home robbed, then why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he put feelers out to get rid of Darlie for that $250,000? I mean, it's not far-fetched. I just don't believe it.
Detailed look into the case. Watch the full video on Behind Criminal Minds.
Okay, this is a Darlie supporter that knows all of us because they keep putting that Behind Criminal Minds. I'd like to be able to break that video down, but I'm going to tell you what, it's very intriguing. But it's being told by someone that claims to be a lawyer. It's very intriguing. It's very well done. I'd like to be able to break it down. I may do that someday. I mean, that video, I definitely had me going, But there's so many other ones, like Matt Orchard's Crime and Society, Guilty of Sin, Southern Fried Crime. I wrote in these comments about Detective Maines. He keeps calling luminol a luminol. I don't know what was he really a detective? But anyways, I want to show that I put this comment here, right? You see it there. It's posted. It's posted. Then I'll move away from it. So I moved away from it. And then I'll go back to it.
The Darlie Roudier case has sparked controversy for decades,
It's still
raising
there for right
questions
now.
about justice and fairness. Key findings suggest troubling inconsistencies in the ability of an. The Darlie Roudier case has sparked controversy for decades,
Now it's gone.
raising questions about justice and fairness. Key findings suggest troubling inconsistencies in the investigation.
This is one of the typical Darlie supporters that knows us all. This video's only been out for less than a day. And now it's gone. See that? All my other comments are gone. So I'm going to let them know. I'm going to let them know. Let me put a reply here. You keep deleting my answers. Let's see, here's the thing. These supporters will ask us, well, thank you for your comment. Do you have any proof? Blah, blah, blah. Can you provide any further insight? They act all nicey. And then you give them insight, right? And then they delete it. They want to make it look like they asked this question, but we didn't answer it. I got proof here. Let it sit there for a minute. They didn't take this one down this time. They took that one down before. They left this one. Put a like there. Well, let's watch here for just a second. I guarantee you, this is a supporter that we all know. I'll put a thumbs down on that because they're deleting comments. And I'm using this video in under Title 17, fair use, copyright for educational purposes, and to comment on it. I'll put my fair use thing up. Let's see what happens. See if that one stays. No, it takes them about a minute to do that, too. I hit the rewind.
The Darlie Roudier case has sparked controversy for decades,
and it's
raising
gone.
questions about justice and fairness. Key findings suggest
Busted.
troubling inconsistencies in the investigation. Blood splatter.
I'd like to find out who this is that's doing this video. It's gone. It only takes like a minute. They deleted a bunch of my comments, actually. I put under this, I told Diamond Eyes to come see my channel. That's gone. This time they left this one. So what I'll do is this.
The Darlie Roudier case has sparked controversy for decades, raising
gone.
questions about
right,
justice and fairness. Key
We
findings
play that
suggest
game.
troubling inconsistencies
How
in
about
the
that?
investigation. Blood splatter patterns and
You're not gonna make it look like
screen
You're
point.
not going to make it look like you asked a question and we didn't answer it. Fuck you think this is? This is BryanSt.John over here. Well, I know this games. Darlie's guilty. Get the fuck out of here.